Hey, this is Marcel Vautier. You're listening to Vautier Friends. This is my podcast about electronic music artistry. And on this show, I'm inviting electronic music artists and producers to chat in a casual way about their story as a person behind the music. I'm glad you have tuned in and are joining us on the chat. So let's jump right into this episode. In this episode, I sit down with my friend and mentor, Dennis Sheperd. We are sharing both of our stories in this special episode just because we have so much in common, Dennis and me. We grew up in the same area in Germany, so we had kind of the same trajectory, same childhood parameters, things that were in music, especially what we listened to. And I hope maybe if you are of our generation too, that can be a real fun trip back in the memory lane. And then later in the episode, we discussed also a bit more about mindset and how to approach electronic music artistry. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Hey, this is Marcel Vautier, and today I have with me my dear mentor, Dennis Sheperd. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. And you?
Yeah, doing good. It's late here already. I'm in Bali right now. So the sun just went down. So yeah, it's like 6:30 here, PM. For you, it's a bit earlier, right?
Yeah, for me, it's lunchtime right now. And I envy you, man, that you're in Bali. And I saw the other day you did like a photo shooting at the beach, just real casual. You can just do that. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's you know what? It was one of my life dreams, to be honest. So I always told myself, if I don't move here, on my deathbed, I'll regret it. If I will never try, And
Wow.
yeah, last year I came here. I traveled here on and off. Stayed a couple of weeks, a few months sometimes. Then went back to Europe, and I was just like, yeah, let me just do it fully. And to be honest with you, the transition wasn't that easy. It's a a different thing than, let's say. So before I came here, I lived in Bulgaria, and I moved from Germany to Bulgaria, and that transition was still not that easy, but doable. But it's a whole different level moving from Bulgaria to Indonesia. It's like proper third world. Things really don't work the same way here as in Europe.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it took a while to adjust, but I don't regret my decision at all. It's beautiful. I love it, and I learn a lot here as well on a personal level, especially.
Yeah. Well, I can talk so much about this also personally. I know how it is to move countries and be in a new environment, and how that can really push your boundaries and your growth like crazy. And I think your life story might be a very interesting one. I'm also personally very curious because we didn't talk about it so much between ourselves, right? Like where your stations in life, like where did it take you? I think you have also lived in Berlin at one point, right? And I don't know where else, but that's already going from there to Bulgaria and then to Indonesia to me is really fascinating. I would love to ask you a couple of things about it, but if you don't mind,
yeah, absolutely,
maybe we can start
problem.
a bit. Yeah. No, but my idea was maybe we can start even a bit earlier, because often when we meet, we realize we have like similar things, how we grew up. Because Dennis and me, for those listening or watching, we grew up in Germany, in the same region, actually almost in neighbor cities, where we didn't know each other. But it means there's a lot of commonalities, and there's a lot of stuff we usually chat about. And I thought, hey, let's also put it on our chat here for everyone to watch. Can be interesting to folks too. Maybe some people can relate. So I wanted to see if you felt like chatting a little bit about the beginnings, and we take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you already said it. So I grew up in Essen, my hometown. tell me again, where did you grow up? Which exact city?
My hometown is called Hagen. It's close by Dortmund.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, super close. And I mean, so I don't know about you, but actually I come from a coal mining family. So that's my background. Both my grandfathers were coal miners. My father was a coal miner as well. And that's like the thing in the region where I grew up. How about you? How about your family?
Yeah. Great question. And you're right. The region we come from is like, I think the whole region is like a traditional mining region, right?
Yeah.
More so the Essen region where you come from, but Hagen also a little bit. And I find it super fascinating that you don't have a music background, considering how you developed your career. That is completely amazing to me. And on my end, it's similar. I have zero music background really. My dad was an engineer, was working for the state in water quality control, if you call it that. And my mom was working in a social field. Sometimes she cared for children. She also worked in a retirement home. So very social job. And music was not really there. I'm not a part of it.
Yeah, same. But I must say, like, my parents have always been passionate about music. So like that's something I grew up with. So maybe that's like, what instilled the fire in me, so to speak. So like, there used to be those days on the weekends, my father had this like super nice, expensive Bose sound system, and with a subwoofer and all these like satellite speakers. And they would like, play like music super loud on the weekends in the living room, and then they would dance to it or sing along. And at one point my father also subscribed to, there was a thing called like top 100 CDs, so he would get them mailed every 2 months or something, or every month or something like that. And yeah, of course I always had the newest music that way. And the one Christmas, they even gave me like a ghetto blaster as a Christmas gift. And then I still remember that very clearly, that I was listening in the back garden to those CDs on my ghetto blaster, and I was just dancing along, singing along. And it's just like, and it was stuff, a lot of like Eurodance. So already like, the foundation for my love for dance music basically was laid there, and that's how it all started, I guess. Yeah.
I can totally relate to that, man. I was also super obsessed getting a ghetto blaster back then. I think that was really like in a culture back then in general. Ghetto blasters were super cool. I mean, you had these music videos where people would have them on their shoulders and just take them anywhere, because you could also run them with batteries.
Well, I mean, it's also funny because we are the same birth year, and so we're like basically exactly the same age. So of course we love the same things. Basically, it's just funny. Yeah.
That's why I can fully relate to that. I also got a ghetto blaster. And but for me, my first one was actually only cassette. It didn't have CD.
Mm-hmm. True. Me too. Actually, you're right. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cassette was much better than CD for me because of a couple of things. My ghetto blaster had a microphone in it. And where you started with these top 100 CDs, I discovered really electronic music, if you will, through video games. And I'm still a big video gamer. Like, I just love video gaming. And that was something I loved since a young age. And when I grew up, the new console, the video game console that was just out, was the Super Nintendo. And Sega, I think the Mega Drive maybe, was also there. But for me, it was the Super Nintendo. And
same.
Most people, cool. Most people around me, they loved, I don't know, the action games, and they wanted fast-moving games that excite them. And for me, somehow I felt always different, because for me it was the music in those games. And that's why I loved all those Japanese role-playing games like Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger,
Same.
and whatnot.
Secret of Mana, Secret of
you too?
Evermore, Illusion of Time.
Yeah, Secret of Evermore. Yes, Illusion of Time. Amazing.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had all these great
funny.
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, with these big boxes, right, and catalogs that give you advice on the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like in love with the music. By the way, my first game that I was in love with was Mystic Quest Legend. It was actually
I know that
it's
one
actually
too,
a Final
of course.
Fantasy game. Yeah. And that one had the best music for me. So I took I didn't have a Super Nintendo myself because my parents were totally against video games, but all my friends had them. So I would take my Ghetto Blaster and hold it next to the speaker of my friend's TV, and I would just record the music of Mystic Quest Legend and that game. And everyone had to be real quiet because it was not it was not a cable connection. It was like an external microphone, so you would hear anything. I was just directly recording from the TV speaker. And then I didn't have a Super Nintendo, but I had the music then, and I was listening to it over and over again. And it was only possible because it was cassette and you could just record stuff.
Yeah, true. I mean, I also, we talked about it in preparation for this. So there used to be this like radio show on the weekends by Pete Blank and Jasper Jones. So Blank and Jones, 1 Live Party Service, right? Yes. And I used to record this on cassette as well. I remember.
Man. I was going to say that next.
Yes.
I was there every Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was still, I don't know, 12, 13 or so. I remember I was playing Legos, listening to Party Service and recording.
Yeah. I started a little later with that, I think. I think for me it was around 15 or so, 14, 15, something like that. Yeah. So it was cool. Yeah. Cool times.
Yeah, because this radio show, I mean, you could hear let's think back. How did we listen to dance music back then? Mostly CDs, maybe, I would say. But how would you learn about new tunes? You had maybe this subscription that I wasn't aware of even existed back then. But I got all my new music, my new dance music. I learned it from the radio. And usually it was still not so, let's say, in the masses, not so accepted. So on the radio, they would play it not so often. But then there was Party Service with Pete Blank, and you could just hear dance music nonstop for like 2-3 hours. And it was just, that was the best time for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was cool. And that kind of led me to going to my first rave as well. I think it was 16 or something. And I think, Blank and Jones was playing, Mogwai was playing, then Brooklyn Bounce, the last act of the night. And I don't even know if I was technically allowed to be there, like because I was still young, 16 or something, but it was called 1 Live. So 1 Live is the radio station. The name of the radio station was called 1 Live Sommerrave, I think. Summer Rave, basically.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I honestly think we might have been on the same event, man. We might have crossed paths.
Crazy.
Because I was on one of these two, and I'm not sure how many they had. And I was also around 16, something like that. Because I remember back then we did crap like exchanging clothes between friends so that everyone would look like the oldest possible, so that we would for sure get in, like convince the bouncers that we're old enough, you know. Because when you look old enough, they might not ask for your ID, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you quickly, I don't know, now I don't much into drinking, but back then party went along with a little bit of drinking, and then we're just like in front around the corner, just our drink, and then we would hide it in the bushes, and then we would go in.
Yeah. Good times, good times.
Yeah, and I was wondering who I saw back then. For sure, Brooklyn Bounce is so funny because I've totally forgot about them. And to me, I guess they're more like a pop dance act. And I'm not even sure if they're known outside of Germany. I'm wondering if there was a German thing.
Could be like in some other European countries, maybe in Poland, maybe Netherlands or something. But I don't think anyone in Indonesia would know about Brooklyn Bounce. Don't think so.
Well, maybe one day they can have a comeback. Who knows? But yeah, I found interesting about the 90s. In dance music, you had a lot of these fabricated dance projects. I think Brooklyn Bounce was probably one of them, where you would have the producer is like someone entirely different from who you see on the stage. You would not necessarily even know about the producer, and then they would have faces that represent them as a project, and you would sometimes even see how they swap them out when they, I don't know. Sometimes they would have just 2 years later, there's someone else, the face of that project. And it's just like one producer could also have multiple of those projects without you knowing it. And it's all like a bit fabricated, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. But another very interesting thing is like sometimes you could see Top of the Pops, right? Was that show where they all performed, right? So sometimes you would see like the actual real producers that would perform, and you would clearly see they really don't know what to do on stage. And like, it was just like the record label that said, you need to go there, you need to perform, and you just somehow have to make it work. And you can see that as well. Like, yeah, it's just quite funny, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit awkward maybe at times. Or sometimes maybe they're just in the background on the keyboards or so. So they're maybe not in the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then all of course, like all with playback, like so not live. And you could see like them just like randomly pressing some keys on the keyboard and would not fit the music at all. And even the lip syncing from the singers that were also just like actors that weren't actually the real singers. They would also really badly lip sync. And yeah, it's funny times.
Yeah. If you compare that to today's electronic music scene, it's night and day. And maybe we're just talking about the commercial aspect here, but that was the entry point, I guess, for many of us. I mean, back then, probably, I think, you had also underground dance music records and producers, but you got to start somewhere. And like I said, for me, the access was the radio, and you don't hear much underground stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Same for me. The point was for sure, the Blank & Jones stuff, Paul Van Dyke, ATB, and they were all quite commercial back then, I would say. So, that's the first stuff that I used to love. And then there were a few more like, German focused acts, I would say. So there were some guys called Flutlicht. They did Icarus, which was an amazing hard trance.
I think they're Swiss, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, Flutlicht, I was madly in love with them.
Yeah. Yes. And then DJs at Work was another one that I liked.
Oh, yes. Wow, what a throwback, man. They did a cover of this Nena song.
Yes.
Of this pop song. Forgot which one it was, but it was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, so those were the entry points for me. And then actually, to be honest, that was all I was listening to. And then I got even more into the commercial side of things. So then I started listening to Special D and Guitar, Groove Coverage. So I went into the hands up direction. Yeah. And then I had like a break for a couple of years where I didn't listen to electronic dance music at all anymore. So I was listening to hip hop and R&B and stuff. Teenager, trying this, trying that. I thought it was very cool back then, the hip hop and R&B stuff. And then my ex-girlfriend back then, she kind of instilled the love again by giving me like a birthday gift, and that was In Search of Sunrise #4 by Tiesto. And then that CD changed everything for me. And then I was totally into it again. Yeah.
Yeah, Tiesto, I think,
I had
was
like
also a huge,
huge influence and hero.
Definitely. I can definitely relate to that. Tiesto was also a big entry point into trance for me. Just one thing, I what you said earlier, all these acts, just one thing came to mind. One act, that is Cosmic Gate. They were, back then, they did, I think Exploration of Space was a track that I really loved back then. And they were a bit more commercial too. And I'm completely amazed to see their journey, and they're still around today, and they're super well respected in trance and what they have done, how they have developed from there. You see like these roots, many started back then in this more commercial sound, and nowadays it's totally evolved.
True. Yeah, I still remember I loved Exploration of Space, but then a friend of mine had the album and he was playing it very loud in his room, and we were just hanging out in his room, and the other stuff on the album I didn't like that much, if I'm honest. Like, it was a bit too hard for me, like too hard techno or hard trance for me. But later on I started really liking it. So, but at first, I was still kind of like a noob, like, green. And so it was a bit too hard, the sound for me. And later on I started loving it, but not at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. For me, I always had a taste for the harder sounds. I was later also into hardcore and hardstyle when you took your break, probably. I was just going deeper in that area. I remember the first harder music I liked was R&B. Do you remember R&B?
Yeah.
I think his name is Ralph Meyer Bode. You can find a nice interview with him on YouTube. A nice throwback where he talks about the old times. That was really interesting to watch. And R&B still to this day, legendary. I mean, super melodic, uplifting dance music combined with more like, for back then, hard beat, hard kick drum, a little bit from reminding me of, or reminiscent of, hardcore kick drums. For me, it was like super cool, this combination. It was R&B, and the other one was June. June was the other act that I was mad in love with, because they did hardcore vibes, which was also kind of, as the title says, coming from hardcore, but making it into this euphoric rave that was in back then. And then they had many things like Are You Ready to Fly, with this high voice where she would sing, and I was just completely enchanted by that stuff.
Yeah. I also loved Dune. Always Live Forever. I love that, like, cover. Well, who was Queen was the original artist. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who Wants to Live Forever?
Yeah, Who Wants to Live Forever?
Who Wants to Live Forever? Yeah. So, I mean, I love the Queen version, of course. Nothing will ever beat Queen, but they did a really good job in remaking it, to be honest, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had a little bit of a breakbeat almost, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah. And of course, the female voice, not the male voice as in the original. Yeah, it was nice.
They didn't get Freddie Mercury to join in the remake.
Yes. Yeah. If they knew what was possible today, back then, we could have gotten Freddie back just for that.
Oh man, imagine that with AI or something.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk about, you mentioned Tiesto, and for me, in general, Holland, the Netherlands, for me is just like a huge deal for electronic music and me getting into it further, because where we come from, it's close by the Dutch border as well. It's like 2 hours or so by car, and we used to do almost every year vacation in Holland. So I was exposed to the music then. Dance music was much more, to my perception, much more accepted and ubiquitous almost. And the Dutch, the Holland people, they have this own scene kind of. They had back then Thunderdome.
Gabba.
and that is
Gabba.
Gabba. Gabba, or like they call it, I think they call it Hacke, like hardcore.
Yes.
Yes. Right? And
Nike Air Max, the jeans, and then this Nike sweater, and the cap. Yes. And then the cool dance moves.
Sometimes people would even have gloves.
Yes.
Like white gloves in the fluorescent black light, and then they would do like cool moves.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, so I didn't know hardcore back then, but in Holland it was really big. And Thunderdome, actually they have a TMF. I don't know if they still have it, this music channel, the Music Factory, I think it's called. I watched that in the evening at 8, I think. They had Hacke, a show that was just playing hardcore on television, on public television. Imagine that. And they would often just show recordings from Thunderdome events. So you would really see the people dance, and you would see the lights. I mean, this music is fast and hard. So the lights would just be like all over the place, like moving super fast. And I was just like, wow.
I wonder if some of those YouTube clips that you see of those very high people, if they emerged from those recordings. You never know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I see it in myself. I mean, nowadays, look at the music I make. It's like slower and relaxed. There's no connection. You cannot hear this connection that I was into that music.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then I would start buying these Thunderdome CDs in Holland, taking them back home, and later that evolved into hardstyle. And hardstyle was for me even better than hardcore because it was harder. Like the hardcore kick drums, they're a little bit like just somehow a little bit bouncy or so, if you will, for me. But hardstyle is really solid, really hard. And then came events like the Q-Dance events and DEF CON and stuff like that. I was never there personally, but you could buy the videos, and I got them, and I would just watch them over and over again. And I was just like, I don't know, DJ Isaac or Techno Boy, or there were a couple of hardstyle artists. It was just insane. I was completely into that for some time. And you? Did you ever listen to that?
Yeah, like mid-90s, I was listening to a hardstyle and like happy hardcore as well, like DJ Paul Elstak and Charlie Lone Noise and Mental Theo, and so these were more like the beginnings, like even before I got into, like the ATB stuff, Paul Van Dyke stuff, Plank and Jones stuff. Yeah, so, but that's like way earlier, so mid-90s or so, I would say, mid-90s, something like that, 96 or so.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember downloading an MP3 from some pirate website and with a modem at home.
Or Napster.
It needed it, or that. I wasn't really into Napster. Just like I found these like random websites on the net, and they would offer these MP3s, and I would just download it, and one track would take 30 to 60 minutes to download. And every minute also costs money, with the modem back then. It was like by minute. So
and crazy. Sometimes connections would get interrupted, and you're like, please finish the last few kilobytes.
True. Yeah. And then basically after my break, Tiesto got me back into that electronic dance music. So that was like 2004 or 5, something like that. And that's also basically when I started producing music, like as a hobby, let's say. So my uncle, he came along with he produced something with Dance EJ. And that was basically my entry point. Like I was so impressed. Wow, this sounds so professional, and let me try it too. And then I got it. I went to MediaMarkt back then, bought the CD version as well of Dance EJ. Was I don't know, 100 euros, I guess. something like that, 50 to 100 euros or so. Bought it, and then I messed around with it for like 9 months or something. I registered with an online community, and there was like a chart system, and then I ranked quite high there, and people told me, you should try with professional software, la 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 la. And then basically, I guess 2005, I got Reason. Propeller has Reason, and then that led to my first releases. So like 2005, I signed my first records. So I won like a few contests, and then had like few other aliases that I started with. And then 2006, I already had like my first hit record, to be honest, like under a different alias, not under Dennis Sheperd, but under Atrocide. So with Scream and Shout, there was the label that was based in Cologne, and I sent them my record back then. So actually, that's quite interesting, the story. So I produced this house record, and then I was in the Vengeance forum back then. So a lot of producers were in the Vengeance forum back then. A lot of producers that are quite popular now. Oh, you too. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So like a lot of the producers from back then. Nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. So a lot of the producers from there back then, they're still around, like Code Blue was there, and I got to know him back then through that forum as well. Dennis Koyu was in that forum, and we also became friends. He also, by the way, lived very close to us in Recklinghausen. So, and then Alan Morris, he's still around. He's doing trance as well. He was back there as well back then. Coney Blank, he's still doing music, and we still sometimes collaborate on albums as well. So all of these people are still around and do music, and it was great. So I also got to know a singer in that forum called MQ, I guess you would pronounce it. So it was written like MQUE. So she was a singer also from North Rhine-Westphalia, so the same state as us. And she helped me with vocals for that record. And then I ran like a remix contest in the Vengeance forum for that record. And Dennis Koyu back then, he took part in that remix contest. And he made a killer remix, like really, really good. And that remix actually inspired me to do a new original as well. And then we had like some cohesive release, I would say. And then we sent it to Scream and Shout. And for the people who don't know about Scream and Shout, it was the label of Klaas, who was really big back then. Dennis Hurwitz was one of the other guys. There were more, but I don't remember now. And then, of course, it became the home base of Dennis Koyu as well, and myself for 2 releases as well. And it was a huge hit, this record. Like, and I was just like, 21, and that record was like, wow, nice, really nice. Like, it got released in Spain on vinyl. Then the US label, they messaged me on MySpace, actually, the manager of that label. It was Nervous Records, which is like a legendary label. And the manager of Nervous Records, he messaged me privately on MySpace and said, hey, is this still available for the North American market? And I just forwarded it to the manager of Scream and Shout. That guy was like a business guy. He was like, yeah, get me the number. I will call him immediately. And dum. Like an hour later, he had the deal sealed, And
wow,
it was super cool. Super cool. And we sold over 1,000 vinyls in Germany with that record. And a random booking request from Turkey came in, and I couldn't even DJ yet. So we sent someone else who pretended to be me. And he told me, man, you should have been there. Like, everyone sang along to your record. Everyone knew it on the dance floor. I was like, oh my God, I missed out on that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how it all started for me. It went pretty fast and pretty crazy, to be honest, like in the beginning. But also because I had a lot of time, and so I was still at school, and I had like 8 hours a day or so to produce music after school. And that's all I did basically. And so after a year, I was already really good. And after 2 years, already basically had my first hit record. So it went quite fast. Yeah.
Wow. It's impressive, the trajectory that you went on there at that age already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. And when did you start producing, by the way? Like, what year?
Yeah. Basically, we have all the same touch points on our journey. So I started producing in 2007. But let me match my story up against yours. So I also totally got into trance. That was really the deepest I have been into electronic music since I started listening to it, like with guys like Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, and then also for me the peak of trance was when Anjunabeats was created, and the first tracks even Anjunabeats Volume 1, that kind of compilation. Every track is gold on there. Still today, it sounds a bit outdated, sure, but it's still gold. I think still it's like an old rock record that you still listen to decades later. That's for me, and the early Anjunabeats records, and yeah. And then there were tons of other artists. I was big into Mike and his Push alias as well. This kind of trance. There was also tech trance, a little bit of variation that I was really into. But yeah, a lot of Holland influenced.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe a little bit of England with Anjunabeats. But definitely Holland is legendary to me for what they do with electronic music, how they contribute to it, how so many of the best artists come from there. And then I'm just thinking, what did you mention? I remember on my end, the next thing I started DJing before I started producing. Like a friend got turntables, Technics, I think 1210 SL or something like that, and a Pioneer DJ 600, and it was just like dream gear back then, and it was insanely hard for me to beat match vinyl. It was just like, but it inspired me at the same time. It's like, I want to learn this. And we played a lot in his place on his setup. And then later he opened a record store in Hagen. And after hours, when the record store closed, the vinyl store, we would do our small parties there. And we would just, first just us, me and my friend, and we would DJ there. And just, that was the time maybe already. That we moved already more into house, because there was my trajectory. After trance came house, and it was the time of Steve Angelo, Eric Pritz, like the whole Swedish House Mafia thing came up back then.
Yeah, they were amazing back then. Axwell as well.
Axwell,
crazy good.
Yeah, it was, and we were so into it that we were always comparing these suites against each other. It's like Axwell had the best mixing, like the strongest sound I always found, but Steve Angelo had this grit and kind of knew what is like really memorable on the dance floor. And Eric Pritz was just completely on another planet. He was just having his own sound. Every of his records sounded like him. Like we were super geeking out to this stuff.
You can't forget about Sebastian Ingrosso, though. He was amazing too.
No. Of course. They all were, and they all. This is completely amazing that they all push each other together, and they just all dominated the scene. Yeah. Starting with a little bit still disco-y house, maybe a little bit touch of French house, and then it evolved from there to where they are today. It's a long journey as well. Anyway, we were playing there. Later, we rented a rehearsal room, and we would also invite people sometimes. So we would just play the private small parties. And I always wanted to start producing, but it wasn't until 2007. And guess what? I started... Before that, you mentioned Dance EJ, this funny software. There was another one called, I think, Music Maker. There was kind of, I think by the same company even, that did a Dance EJ.
No,
I had
no,
that one.
different.
I had the demo.
Competitor. Magic's Music Maker, and the other one, I don't remember what the company was, but it was the competitor, basically. I still remember clearly. And I never liked Music Maker. I looked at it.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I was more simple. I had it as a demo from a computer magazine, Computer Bild Spiele or something. Oh, no, Computer Bild, the normal one. It was a big magazine back then in Germany, and they always had CDs with free software on it. And there was Music Maker. And I also knew about Dance EJ, but I couldn't afford it. And I would have loved to have it. But I was stuck with a demo of Music Maker. And I did silly stuff like pulling in samples from video games and making music out of that. I had a Quake 3 arena. That was like, I was super into video games too. So I was playing in clans and doing like online competitions and so on in Quake 3. I played Rocket Arena, which is a mod for Quake 3 Arena. And yeah, of that game, I just pulled some sounds and I built a track out of it, and I still have it. And it's completely ridiculous what I built back then. But I was not as disciplined as you back then. And this is our main differentiator. That's why you took off like that.
I was also into online gaming, and I was into Diablo 2, player versus player.
Oh yeah.
And I founded this like online league. So we had like a league called Little Wars, and this was like for low level PvP. And so only until level 29 or something. And it was so cool. I built this whole community. I had like staff members. We had real life meetings, and it was amazing. Wow. And we had like thousands of members at one point in the forum. And I was 15. It was crazy. It was so cool what I created there.
You were always a creator, huh?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, I was just checking if I can share my screen, and I think I can. 1 second. So, because this is cool.
Only thing is, if you share your screen, maybe explain it, because if it's audio only on the podcast, maybe some people might not know what's going on.
You can actually share the full screen, like a tab of the Chrome, into the recording, but I have to restart Chrome, so it won't work this time. Because there's a YouTube video of my first few records that I created in Dance EJ. Someone, a fan back then from that online music community, took it and uploaded it to YouTube. So
how was it recorded?
I think he opened the project, because you could always access the projects as well in that online community. So he must have downloaded the project, and then, because it looks like a screen recording from the project itself, I think. So yeah, it's quite funny. So sometimes on my retreats that I organize these days, the music production retreats, on occasion, I sometimes show the participants, look how I started, listen to this.
Yeah. If you could make it, anyone could. If you could make it starting with that.
It wasn't that bad though. It was still, actually it was like not like disharmonic or something. Like it actually sounded still okay, but of course the sounds were a bit cheap sounding, and but there was already the right like kind of structure and some good melodies and stuff, and it's interesting.
Yeah, right. I mean, for those who don't know this kind of software, to my memory, it's simply just audio clips. You have like a library of prepared loops and one shots, and you build songs out of that, right?
Yes, correct. Except that with Dance EJ, you could also add your own melodies. So you had like already like some kind of MIDI editor, and I actually did that with it. So I created my own melodies and then mixed them, of course, with elements like those audio blocks, and of course it was like kind of like Lego a little bit, but with some individual modification by doing your own melodies. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah, for that I never discovered that in Music Maker, but I moved. Guess what? On to Reason. I started with Reason 2. Of course. 2007 it was for me, so 2 years later than you. And I remember most people recommended Cubase back then, but I thought it looked too boring. And I loved Reason for how it looked. Like it had this real hardware replication, and you could like switch to the back of the devices and see all the cabling. And then you could like, in a modular system, you could just like connect things and have like endless kind of sound modulation possibilities. And I was completely fascinated by that.
Yeah, by 2007, I was already gone from Reason and moved on to Cubase, because all the Scream and Shout guys, they were all using Cubase, and
I think Reason, it lacked audio. I think you could only add audio with a sampler maybe, but you couldn't really use it in the sequencer.
Yes.
So I think that was a big limitation. And from what there was this magazine, Future Music. They had in the studio with videos, and I subscribed to that, so I watched almost all of them. And you never saw anyone use Reason. And I heard only from my memory, one guy who used Reason. His name was Dave Spoon. I don't know if you remember him. He had the track At Night, I think.
Yes, I love that.
It was
track.
really big.
Yeah. Electro house record, really amazing, great record. Yeah,
super cool. And he did some super cool remixes after that one as well. And Big Time, I think, or something, or Big Night, or something. But anyway, he used Reason, to my knowledge. That was the only time I heard of someone using Reason. I think some drum and bass guys used it, but I also pretty soon moved on to Cubase, like you, of course.
Funny, but there's one guy, and he created one of my favorite trance records of all time, and he used Reason for that, and his name is Airbase.
Oh, Genie. Airbase! Holy shit!
Yeah, his track
was so good.
His track Genie. I always wanted to recreate that main lead synth. So when I started producing music, we did this competition, this sound design competition in the Vengeance Forum, and it was like a competition between us who can get closer to the lead sound of Genie. And honestly, I tried for weeks to get it, like to get close to that sound, and I never really got it. To be honest with you,
wow.
But it was a great practice, And the thing is, it wasn't like we didn't have this goal of becoming a big artist or something one day. It was just fun. It was just passion, Yeah, it was just messing around, and let's see if we can get close to that sound, and whoever gets closest wins, and gets our respect. But that's something that I tell all my students these days as well. Like, you have to, but it's very beneficial if you are in it for the right reasons. If you love music, if you love creating music, if you're passionate about it, if there was never going to be a crowd, if there were never going to be fans who will listen to your track and praise you or whatever, would you still do it, And
Absolutely,
if the answer
100%.
is yes, then in my opinion, you're in it for the right reasons, because then you will have the endurance to pull through, If your records only pull a few hundred streams or a few thousand streams, it can be demotivating, but you still had fun producing the music, and you still love what you do, and that's the most important thing in my opinion. So for me, I love locking myself away in the studio on the weekends, and if I create something beautiful, I love dancing to it by myself, and I listen to it in a loop, and that's the most fulfilling moment for me of creating music, when I'm so into it and I love it so much, and I'm so proud of what I created. And then it almost doesn't matter anymore what people out there say about it, Of course, I'm human, and I love when people are happy and love my music, of course, but it's not like a must, If I'm happy with it, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
100%, yeah. I can completely relate to that. And for me, it was the same. I didn't really start out with the goal to ever release anything, to be honest. I started because it was fun for me to just tinker in the DAW. And I remember, for me, the biggest, maybe to this day, except for Deadmau5, who was my big idol, but I tell that later. The biggest hit ever for me was the Di Ramirez remix of, what was it called? Buddy something?
Oh yes, that one.
Oh, no,
you went to the same electro house stuff that I was. Like,
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so long ago that I forgot, but I think the track is called or something.
Body Rocks. Body Rocks.
Body Rocks. Yeah, you're right.
I think so.
Yeah, I had the vinyl, and that was just like, I heard that on many different dance floors, and it was always an absolute killer. It's just like the way the kick drum sounds and the way the whole thing is mixed was completely unreal. It would just leave everything else in the dust that was played before or after. So that was the absolute massive record for me, and I tried to rebuild that in Reason. And I also still have it, and it sounds like crap. But I was spending hours over hours rebuilding this remix.
Yeah.
And that was the fun. That was the goal, not to release anything.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is like a part of the journey. So like, yeah, a lot of people want to have a shortcut, but I feel like you kind of have to go through this stage in music making, just messing around, fooling around, trying this, trying that. It builds the foundation, in my opinion, for everything else that will come afterwards. And sure, at a certain level, of course, you can take shortcuts by, taking coaching with cool music producers and stuff. It's small plug here, but no, but like seriously, of course, there are shortcuts. Also, I mean, even I would say like just community is super important. So like having friends you exchange feedback with, and like for example, when I started producing music, I was, like I said, friends with Cold Blue, friends with Dennis Koyu, and we kind of helped each other grow, like with, very detailed feedback. And like we found out about this new tip and we showed each other and all these kind of things, and that really, really helps. And I tell that everyone that I do sessions with and everyone else I meet, the music producers, is so important that, you build that small like community or kind of support system for yourself, where you exchange music ideas, you get your feedback, and that's how you grow. That's how you grow, in my opinion. Yeah.
I can give another light facet. I know that's an English word, but I can give another view on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I grew much, much slower than you as a producer, because I had the mentality of going the way on my own. I didn't want, because I was actually intentionally doing that because I thought it's very egoistic. I know that back then, but I didn't want anyone to say that anyone had an influence on me or had done anything for me. I wanted my music is 100% done by me. And that was important for me. I didn't want that someone helps me and then everyone is like, yeah, he's only good because that guy helped him. And this, I was like, no, that people will never say that about myself. People will think that I'm that good. And it's very egoistic, and also it's completely limiting. Maybe maybe if you're a prodigy, you can do it, but I for myself notice, and also when I study other artists, no one goes it alone. And for me, so the biggest, the best music for me, I mentioned it, that was ever done is deadmau5. I'm a big fan, almost a fanboy of deadmau5. Not of him, but of his music. And so I studied him intensely. And I always thought he's this kind of genius, which he maybe is, but he so one thing is he didn't release anything until after like 10 years or so, where he produced already and put out probably garbage, I guess. And he appeared then to everyone like, wow, this guy comes out of nothing with hit after hit. Everything is so great. And it's not coming out of nowhere. And then you also saw, when you study him, with people with who he hung out. I mean, he was very early involved with people like Chris Lake, or with Tommy Lee by Motley Crue, I think is his band. And a couple more of these influences, and also Steve Duda, obviously, it was a great partner of his, and they bounced the music back and forth between each other. I remember there was a forum called Trance Addict. I was also on that one, and deadmau5 was there too.
I didn't know.
And deadmau5,
nice.
Yeah, and he would fucking explain people how he did the sounds in his tracks, and he would even post the stems for others to use, and I still have them. I still have the stems of some of his first tracks. I'm like, I guess not many people have that still.
Hey,
so yeah,
wait.
I really yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you. So there was once this thing where Armin and deadmau5 tried to collaborate, and they actually openly posted the stems on Twitter, I think. So, and I always regret not grabbing those stems, because I remember deadmau5 sent it to Armin or something, and then it just openly, and And I never grabbed them, and
Wow.
I was just wondering if you had them, because that would be super cool.
No, that
Too
must
bad.
have never happened though, that collaboration, right?
No, never. They got
Never,
into
huh?
like an argument or fight, also all publicly. I
Of
think,
course.
yeah, of course. I think Deadmau5 kind of got
It's
pissed about something
it's
with
his
Armin or
brand.
something. Yeah.
I think it's on purpose. It's his brand.
Sorry, but I interrupted you. So you were
Yeah.
saying you got
No.
all the stems still from Deadmau5, and you still have them. And he was in the Trance Addict
Yeah, and he would,
forum.
and that's just to say, he was immersed even in early social media. He was networking. He found Steve Duda, I think, also over something like Trance Addict or some other, or MySpace, I don't remember, some other forum. And he even had this mindset of sharing the stems of his music, which I thought I should never do for my music. I should keep it secret, so people think what I do is so great, but no one knows how I did it, so it's even better for me. And it's this closed, egoistic mindset that I'm honest about. I was riding with that for quite a while. And that's why I didn't accomplish anything. I was just for 10 years making music and not getting anything out there. I mean, in between,
I see.
I had like one remix contest where I got a place and I got a release. It was in 2011. But I didn't know how to reproduce it. I was just not good enough to do the same again. So that was it. And for me, it was only in 2017 where I started taking things serious.
I see.
And where I opened myself up.
That's a long time, 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, and I have like probably 1,000 songs or so from the period before that. I have tons of songs. Yeah. I thought I just do more and more, and I will get there. I think it's just about the repetition. But that's also a big trap, because you can repeat the wrong thing over and over again, and then you get good at the wrong thing. I mean, you need also to have a path. You need to know which path to take. If you take the wrong path, you can grind as much as you want. You will not end up at your goal, because the path doesn't lead there. You need other people to help you navigate your path, in my experience.
Yes, absolutely. And I was just going to say that, even for me, like 2017, I was producing already for 13 years, basically, if you count the hobby years where I messed around with Dance EJ. And so 13 years, and I already had collaborations with Marcus Schulz, with Rank One. I remixed Armin van Buuren, Above and Beyond, officially, all of this kind of stuff. So I achieved a lot already. But comparing myself now to my version in 2017, I was a really bad producer. And it only better, not bad, but like in a way that just like I learned so much from 2017. And that was because, so I started running these Soundcation retreats, right? The music production retreats. And I hosted
Smart move.
Yeah, and I hosted now over 15 of those retreats. And every time there's other instructors. And every time you see different approaches, you learn new tips and tricks and small workflow things, and how everyone works. Just like how everyone works is also so interesting and important. And yeah, like it kind of boosted my skills like crazy. Like if my version from 2017 saw how I produce now, I wouldn't believe it, to be honest. Yeah. So even at that point,
real world, right?
Yeah. So even at that point, after 13 years of production and already some like success and whatever, there was still so much room to grow, And that's also one thing that I love about music production, that basically you never stop learning. You never stop learning. This is so complex.
Do you still have that you think, this is the best track I ever did? But then a year later or so, you're like, okay, now I'm better than that.
Yes and no, because like pretty early in my career, I had Fallen Angel. So 2011, I released that one. So if you were measuring in terms of success, that's always going to be my kind of, what is it called? Benchmark in a way. So in that way, yeah, like I never reached that level of success again with a track. But in terms of like production quality and, you know, what I think of my productions, yes, I feel like I always think like, for example, with every album that I produce, I feel like this is my best album. I will not be able to top this. Like, and the next album, I feel I do. So, yeah, definitely.
But I think you are really good already much earlier than that, because I remember, I saw you on the Vengeance forum, because there I was always looking out for advice from the creator of the Vengeance samples.
Yes.
Manuel, I think was his name, and he would sometimes post stuff also about mix down advice and so on, and I would just copy paste that immediately into a text file of all the advice from the Vengeance forum. And you also sometimes wrote things, and then you had this release, I think, on Injuna Beats, and that's actually is real funny, because I mean, we know each other now since not so long, a year or so maybe, and this only came about because I reached out to you because of that track from all the way back then, because I still listen to it. It's that remix that you did back then.
Mount Everest for Cold Blue.
Mount Everest.
Yes.
That's the one. It's just, to me, it sounds still top notch today. This melody that you have in there, wow. I went sometimes to other producers to ask them, how do you think he did that melody? How did he get this kind of feel with this melody? And we just reversed engineered it. And yeah, all to say, man, I think you already did great stuff back then.
Yeah, I mean, thanks first of all for the compliment, but I think getting there was much harder. So that's what I mean. Obviously, the result was already good. Otherwise, I would have not had this sort of success that I was talking about. But just getting there was way harder for me. So like, I didn't have the same workflow as I have today, not the same production techniques. My mix downs was kind of always good. I don't know why. It's like seems some sort of natural thing with my ears. So even when I listen now to my very first tracks from 2007, 2006, I still think for that time the mix downs are brilliant, really good. Like definitely competitive with all the other stuff that was released back then. And I don't know why, but somehow that's like something that was never hard for me.
Wow. It was my biggest struggle. My mix downs were always crap. Even you hear it also in my tracks, my Marcel Vautier tracks. I'm still learning. And only now I'm starting to get decent mix downs, in my opinion. So for me, it was an eternal struggle. And that amazes me completely that it seems to have been natural to you.
Yeah. I also don't know why. But on the other hand, so super like cool. we all have our like, you know, like strengths and weaknesses. So like for me, my biggest weakness, I would say, is still to this day composition. So sometimes I have these melodies in my head and I'm just not able to fully get it into the piano roll or DAW the way I want it. And it's like, I get there at some point, but it takes a while. Whereas I've met people like Rank 1, for example. I sat next to Benno in the studio when we worked on our collaboration, and he's just like, you want this chord progression? And it's just like a hit chord progression, right? And then, or that one, another hit melody, you know? And I'm just like, what the hell? And he just improvises it like that, you know? And there's other people like that too that I've met. Protoculture is also very good on the keyboard and composing like that. Orjan Nielsen. So so I collaborated with him on one of the retreats, right? 2018 in Bulgaria. So it was Estiva, Nifra, Orjan Nielsen, and myself. So 4-way collaboration between all of us instructors. And basically the main melody that you hear in that track, Orjan just played it on the fly and we recorded it, and that's it. That's how it was created. So it's like, it took him like less than a minute. It's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, there's maybe a difference between those who come from a musical side into electronic music and those who come from a technical side. That's at least an observation I have made, that there's some folks who have a musical background and they can do the most amazing things. Maybe they don't always do the mix downs themselves. Sometimes they do. But me, and you maybe too, I don't know, but since we don't have a musical background, to this day, I cannot play any instrument. I played in the school band, I played the bass guitar, okay, but that was not very difficult. And bass guitar, doesn't have so many strings, let's say. Anyway, to this day, I come from a technical angle. I love the mix downs. That's what's the most fun to me in music. But I also have to say, for me personally, when I hear something in a song, I can put it into the DAW with more or less not so much problem. And so that is kind of natural to me. But yeah, mix downs are so fun, but I was never super good at it. Only now that I'm learning from folks who have the experience, including you, I'm also getting the hang of it.
But that also shows that, you know, there's so many things within the music industry that you can do. Like if you're good at composition, you can become a composer. You don't have to become a producer. You can just compose for other people, for example, or you become a songwriter or whatever. If you're only good at the technical side, you become a mixing and mastering engineer. You don't ever have to be an artist or, you know, produce whole records. If mixing and mastering is the only thing that's fun for you, you concentrate on that. You know, film scoring, producing background music for YouTube videos, whatever, you know, there's so much vocal production. Like you can go into the studio with a singer, write the song, do the vocal production, deliver that. That can be a business idea for you, you know, so much like that you can do. So I always, I never understand when people say, yeah, it's I don't know what to do. It's so hard. Like it's wide open, this space. You can do whatever you want, you know. There's so many possibilities and opportunities, in my opinion. But you have to have the endurance, of course. So, like,
yes.
Yeah. So it won't success
you
won't
don't
come
become
overnight.
A master.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think I looked once up the definition of the word passion, and if I remember correctly, it means the willingness to endure pain, kind of like that. So it means to have a passion for something means you are willing to continue despite the pain that it gives you. I mean, not saying that it's only painful, but grinding, producing music is sometimes also work, and is sometimes you're like, okay, the easy way would be to just start a new track and have fun. But sometimes you're going to be like, I will pull through now and I will do this until the end. And I will make a finished track, even though it's hard for me. And then I will do the same again. And you need to have this perseverance to push yourself one step further than you have been before. And only then you advance, right?
Absolutely. Again, something that I had to do with myself as well. Like I start with like the breakdown or the main part, and then I feel like, yeah, the track is done. It's already like finished in my head. But now I actually have to do the rest of the track, you know, and that's the not so fun part for me, or like the small effects, the small automations here and there. And like, I don't enjoy it so much, to be honest, but yeah, I have to always push myself to do it. And I've had students as well that only did the fun thing. So like I had one guy who was only doing melodies all the time because he was good at it and it was fun for him, but he never finished the tracks. And I literally had to force him. And I told him, you have to finish it. You have to go through it. You have to, you know, experience all the other parts of, you know, music production. Otherwise you will never actually finish a track, you know? And nowadays he's great at it, you know? He just had to go through it. He had to go through the pain, basically.
Easier.
Yeah.
And it becomes easier every time. And actually it becomes more fun every time. I remember my stage, when I was at the stage where I didn't know how to arrange a loop. And I fucking hated arranging. So I just produced loops. And I remember then building the first arrangements was no fun to me. I was like, can't we just have loops in electronic music? Do we need arrangements? I was just rebelling against arrangements. Can you imagine? Nowadays, the arrangement is the quick part. It's the super easy part. Like the loop writing, make the loop really good is maybe 70% of my work nowadays. And arranging it is like a piece of cake almost.
True.
And it's fun too.
Yeah, and even adding to what I said, even sound design is also like, you know, for some people it's a lot of fun. They love doing it. And for some people, they are happy with just using presets and changing them a bit, you know. There's even like, there were a lot of production teams, especially back then. I don't know that many now, but like I'm sure there are, where one guy is just the sound designer. Like for example, Cascada back then was a project of the Vengeance founder, Manuel Schleiss, Manuel Reuter. And Manuel Schleiss was just the sound designer for that project. And then there was a project called Kamui. They also had a track on In Search of Sunrise. They were like a bit harder, like hard trance or something, I would say, maybe even already hard style. And the one guy was just a sound designer. And you could hear it actually, because the sounds were so unique and so good. And it also somewhat makes a record great. Like it's not just melody, not just arrangement, structure. It's also actually the sounds and how they interact with each other, and how unique they are. And
can say so many things about it. One small thing I wanted to say is, when you talked about earlier that everyone can have their role in music production or in music writing and in the field
industry,
of electronic music.
Yeah.
You can team up with people and build something great together. The technical guy with the musical guy. I can imagine that something amazing can come out of it.
Yeah. You know how many duos there are in the music scene as artists, where the one guy is the marketing guy and the other guy is the producer guy. So many.
And
it works.
I remember one.
It works.
It works, yeah. There are really many, but one example that comes to mind that I didn't expect was Benny Benassi. They're actually the brothers, I think. And one is the producer and one goes to the gigs, something like that, if I remember correctly.
I don't know that, actually. I didn't know that. They also had a project together, I think, at one point, Benassi Brothers, I think.
Maybe then they started producing together, but I think in the beginning it was like that, and they had an in the studio with a video on Future Music, and it was one of them producing, the other one giving some input sometimes, but being in the backseat, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk a bit about where we are now.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you said it already, right? We have started working together some time ago, and then I came along with this cool idea of doing the Next Generation album, which was basically my idea of, collaborating with all those students that I have from all around the world that I think are very talented and that kind of need a platform to shine a little bit. And I approached you with that idea and you loved it from the start. And that's when we decided to work a little bit more together. And it went really great, I think. Like the collaboration sounds awesome. And we also connected on a personal level, like really nicely. And it's really great to see. And
I can just add to that. This is another great example of what can happen if you connect with others and don't just stick with yourself as a producer. And Dennis is really a great help here because you create opportunities and you make things happen. This is something I admire about you. You have this kind of almost entrepreneurial spirit. Not almost. I mean, you are an entrepreneur with your Soundcation and other things that you do. And this is amazing. This is an amazing skill that I think not every producer has. And you have this great idea of doing something that I've never heard of before. That someone does an album just full of collaborations, not with famous artists, but with people that have potential, and where it can be like a showcase to them and also to you. And it's like a win-win. And also for the fans, of course, because the tracks are just amazing. And you reached out to me last year with this opportunity, and I was just like, I think I answered you in 1 or 2 minutes, and I just said like, hell yeah, or something like that. Like you wrote to me like this long text of how it could go down, and I'm like, of course, man, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool. And I think it also somewhat, separates the chaff from the wheat. I think you can say that, right, in English, where, some producers, they kind of not able to make it in the scene, not because they're not talented. There's a lot of talented guys in the scene, but you need to have more than that to survive within the music industry, Yes. And one of them is the like the business perspective and the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. I mean, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, but you have to have some sort of business mind to make it, and you all like, for example, I always like start optimizing processes and see where can I do things better? What other things can I do? Because it's not this project is the first time that I think someone does this within the actually even electronic dance music scene, probably. But I was also the first trance guy to do a crowdfunded trance album in 2015. I was one of the first guys who did the NFT project in 2021, I think. So after that, a lot of other artists did it too. So I always try to, like do new things. Also, the Songcation retreats, actually now there are a couple of competitors in the field. We were the first ones who ever did it. And, it's just, I love brainstorming, creating new ideas and see where it goes. And yeah, some ideas, they don't work out. Other ideas, they do. But I think it's also some kind of, you stay young that way as well, in a way, because you always play around and you never lose that enthusiasm, if you will, So, because
I like that.
Yeah, because the scene is always evolving and there's always new technological things, but also new sub-genres and scenes, and there's always new festivals that are popping up and always new artists. And so it's always changing. And if you stay stuck in, what you do, it can get boring for you. And I feel like you miss out on opportunities, basically. Like you need to,
right, totally.
Of course, you need to see what you like from what's evolving, right? I don't like everything that's new, of course, but I like pick and choose the things that I like, and then I either incorporate them into my music, or I see, oh, this technology is new. What can I do business-wise with it? And so, yeah, you just pick and choose. You keep your eyes open. There are opportunities in everyone's life. But sometimes in everyone's life, there are a lot of opportunities, and sometimes we just close our eyes. Same like, this is a nice anecdote, same as me when I met a guy in 2013 who was walking with me throughout the night in Berlin and told me how great Bitcoin is and that I should buy Bitcoin. And I didn't listen to him. And there was an opportunity I closed my eyes in front of.
I remember that. I met someone, it's not really an anecdote, but I met someone many years ago, and he had a couple of Bitcoins, 2 or 3, and the price was at 14,000. And I was like, he said he bought it at something like 2,000 or so. And I was like, how did you know? This is so crazy. And it has multiplied so many times. I would never want to get in now where it's at 14,000. It's crazy. Yeah, okay. So I could have probably 10x by now, the Bitcoins, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, sometimes but the thing is, it's not only ever going to be one opportunity. So yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, which is like one of my life mottos now, which kind of makes me calm about those sort of mistakes that I did in the past. Because you can't always win. You have to lose to also win, because otherwise a win is not a win anymore if you never lose.
So, nice.
Yeah.
You are right. You need that contrast.
Yeah.
And you need to be willing to make yourself vulnerable as an artist, put yourself out there to the judgment of other people, knowing that you have mistakes in what you do, knowing that you will probably be better in the future and look back and see all the flaws that you had back then. And knowing all this, you still need to stand behind your art and put it out there, because otherwise you will just never do anything. You will just never be the artist that you want to be, right?
True. I mean, I'm pretty relaxed about it, to be honest. Like, I just literally do whatever I feel like doing under my Dennis Sheperd project, if I'm honest. And sometimes things work and sometimes not. Like, sometimes the track is a success, if you will, and sometimes not. Like, what is success anyway within the music industry, right? But So actually your measurement could be, I'm very happy with this track. That could be your success measuring level, right? But it could also be, for some other people, it could be it reached 1 million streams or 10 million or 100 million, right? So like it's really, it depends on you.
On your goal.
I used to be way more focused on numbers, for example, and I just learned or unlearned to not care about it anymore. Like, because it is very, very toxic, if you will. Like, especially, and there's a reason why all these platforms, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, whether it's there's way more, right? And Apple Music, whatever else. There's a reason why they show you every stream that you do, because you get addicted to the numbers and you want more and more and more. It's like this dopamine hit, right? Or for example, I have this new record now, Rescue Me, with Luke Coulson and Daniel Simon. That's one of the tracks from The Next Generation. Yesterday it did 5,000 streams, the day before 7,000 streams in one day, right? And now it's like, I can feel the dopamine, you know, like, wow, oh, this is really good. Oh, I hope it goes on and it continues and no. And you feel how this addiction comes up towards the numbers. So it's really, it's a system built for that, you know? So they want the artists to be addicted to those numbers. So they create more content. More content means more money for them. And it's like this cycle. And it's a bit sad, but so at one point, you know, you always will fall into this trap of, you know, caring about it, because I mean, we're human. We can't not care about it. Like if we have, you know, if we have success with a track in terms of, a lot of DJ support or a lot of streams, of course we will be happy about it. And of course it's a natural reaction to have this dopamine hit. But we have to consciously remind ourselves that it is just that. It's just numbers, and it's, you know, the music that you created is what counts. And maybe for me, actually, what always was more important, if I think back, is the people. Like being in touch with the actual people that listen to my music. So like, that's why I fell in love with DJing, actually. It's the travel part of it was really like the thing for me, to be honest, that sold it fully for me. Because if I'm completely honest, the art of DJing itself is a bit boring for me, if I'm honest. Like it's not that hard. And where it becomes interesting is when there's a good crowd, when I have like this energy symbiosis with a crowd, or when I meet fans before, after the gig, and they tell me, man, your track, Black Sun, I listen to it every morning and it just lifts my mood. Thank you so much for creating it, you know, because it's actually, it's external validation, but you also feel like you change something in someone's life with your music, you know? So it's not just the external validations, also it gives it more purpose, what you did. And that kind of gives it so much more value in a way, but it's like intrinsic in a way, because like it gives it more value for me, because I know it changes someone's life to the positive, you know? Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I feel that. It's the same for me. There's the basic motivation. It's just because we love music, right? We will produce even if there's no one listening. But then that you can have even on top this part where you share that with someone. And then even better, you get some feedback on it, how it impacted people's lives. That's just so satisfying. I mean, you're already satisfied by producing it, but then you have all that on top, and it's just like, how can this not be the best thing in the world?
True. Very true. I mean, I would say you can get this sort of satisfaction from many things, probably all kinds of service-related jobs. So like, I can imagine a therapist, like a physiotherapist, you know, they already like, let's say, they don't have a problem with, you know, touching people or something. So they like actually skin on skin contact, probably. Otherwise they would not end up in this business. And then on top, they learn about certain techniques that will help people. And then when they actually see the change in the people, they're like, wow, right? This is like, what I did has really helped someone. Like, it's like this, you really did something for someone. And they are so thankful.
That's the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what it all comes down to. I read a lot of books about personal development, how to live a more fulfilling life, stuff like that. And a theme that I always hear in that area is that we are at our happiest when we give, not when we take, when we give. And that is maybe unintuitive, because to give could mean to lose something and maybe not even get anything. Let's say I made a habit, for example, when I don't need anything in my house anymore, up to a certain value, of course, but I say even if it's a little bit more valuable, I put it on the street for free.
Yeah.
I let the next person who passes by take it. I don't even see who takes it.
Same.
But it makes me so happy. Yeah. It makes me so happy to say, I don't put it in my basement where it will collect dust. It will be useful to someone. I'm more light now, and someone else is happy that they found it. How great is that?
Exactly. I actually did a very, very similar thing. Actually, so I do that with things that are, let's say, a little bit less valuable, or like where I don't have, let's say, emotional connection to. But as soon as I have, like, let's say, an emotional connection, or it's more valuable, and I want to make sure it's in the right hands, then I would actually do something like put it on Facebook Marketplace, but for free.
Yeah.
And then I let someone pick it up. And then it's like, that's super cool as well. And so I did that before I moved to Bulgaria. I gave a lot of things away for free. And then in Bulgaria, for example, this is a cool side story. I once rescued a street cat there, and then I got like the cat tree and this and that, right? Like lots of things. And I got him the vaccinations, and I got him castrated, and he was so lovely. It was the loveliest cat you can imagine. He was so, so nice. And he just disappeared one day in front of my door, in Bulgaria. And he became like more and more used to me, and then came into my flat. And then the one day I decided, okay, I'm going to take him. And then the thing was, I was like really traveling a lot. So I had to put him either to friends or in like a cat home. And the one time he didn't do so well in this cat home, and he was sick afterwards, and it felt like it was kind of like hard for him to go there. And I also, didn't want to change my absolute whole life, because my job, of course, involves a lot of traveling. And so I made the hard decision to find him a family on Facebook. I did that too.
Okay.
So he got adopted from me, and then they didn't need the cat tree and whatever. So then I did so many good things with that. First of all, I rescued him from the street, right? Then I found a family that always was looking for a cat, and they took him, and they were so happy as well. So already cat happy, other family happy, and then I had the cat tree still there. And I actually put up another post on Facebook and said, yeah, I'm giving this cat tree away for free, and I had like some food as well and this and that, but only if you recently rescued a street cat, then you can pick it up for free.
Wow.
So then I did even more good, So it's just like a win-win, and it just feels nice and fulfilling when you do things like that. It was like one of the nicest things I did that year, rescue him from the streets, for me personally.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that, yeah. And you reflect that also in your music. You have this open mindset of sharing. I mean, not only as a mentor, you're totally open to reveal your techniques and so on and so forth, but you even put sounds of tracks that you produce out there for other producers to use, right?
Look.
Like, this is something you don't see very often.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, actually, that goes back to, there's a lot of people I met throughout my career that have had like a lasting impact, but just with maybe one sentence they said as a side note that they didn't even think would be very important, but somehow those small side notes stuck with me. And one of them is actually Manuel Schleiss, the Vengeance founder. So I also he actually left a lot of good advice on this forum. So for example, one is, when the vocal recording is very good, very dry room, very good microphone, very good preamp, blah, blah, blah. You need to do less processing. So that's something that stuck with me, right? But he also he produced a sample on one of his sample CDs that got used by Steve Angelo in his track Knas.
Oh yeah, Knas.
He basically he left a statement in the forum because someone asked him, doesn't it bother you that this track is so big and the sample is from you? And he said, no, it doesn't at all, because he heard the sample and he knew exactly what to do to make this a hit. I did not. He did. So, and that has been kind of my motto as well in regards to that. So if someone takes my vocal and they make a huge hit with that, yeah, respect to them, congratulations to them, I'm happy for them, because the vocal was maybe co-written by me, recorded by me, whatever, but they either marketed it better, they put a nicer instrumental around it, they maybe process it in a way better way, they maybe even build like a network of people over 20 years, but now they could use it for that track, So how can I judge, that when someone has a like a huge success with my sample, that it's only based on my sample as well, you never know. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like
collaborative spirit, huh?
Yes, exactly. It's also like, for example, when I do ghost productions, I send out a questionnaire. I want them to tell me exactly how they envision their tracks. The more creative input I get, the better, to be honest, because then I can make sure they are happy. But also it feels like I can emotionally disconnect a little bit, not from the creation of the track, but from the whatever happens to that track. So if it's going to be a big success, it's because my client gave me the description and the idea of using this vocal with that key chord progression or whatever, and that's it. So it's, I don't know. I feel like success is never really something I feel like envious about or something. Like, great for if my friends are successful or my students, that's the best thing that can happen, in my opinion. I'm happy.
Yeah, and it's like for me, it sounds like a collaborative spirit where you build on each other's things. I mean, in a way, you're always building on someone else's work, right? Even if you do a whole track on your own, you're still building on people who built the DAW and the people who designed the samples, maybe the presets. It's like everything is a collaborative effort. So why would you draw such a hard line at one point?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. True. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to maybe come back just to our collaboration with the album, just to talk about that quickly, you will also release, what will this release encompass? It will also be parts again for the producers out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how to say it? So it's a showcase for, the next generation, which is you guys, of course. So I want you guys to be able to shine through the releases and collabs that we do. But at the same time, we're also giving back to the next generation by providing them with samples from our work. So it's like, basically, if you will, 3 generations, that are involved. It's me, the kind of renowned producer, then you, who will be the next generation of artists, and then we're also involving the next generation, the absolute newcomers who will be happy to use our samples and get some inspiration from there, and we'll be able to maybe create something completely new and beautiful with that. So that was the idea of providing those samples as well on sites like Splice. And I think it's great. It works with that concept.
I'm really excited to find out what people do with, especially also our collaboration, of course, because I know that track so well, because that is that track for me now. But I cannot imagine how it can have another identity, but we will find out. We will probably hear it in another song.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool, yeah. And about the collab we did, I think what amazed me the most was the vocal that you put together. I think you are a real expert in vocal recording and mixing. And you told me the story. You had like an unexpected opportunity to use a great microphone setup, right? And I think you can really hear that in the song.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm signed to Armada Music Publishing, so that gives me the right to use the Armada studios as well at Armada Music in Amsterdam. And so I traveled to Amsterdam and to record this song with Kathy Heath for our collaboration. And basically we got studio number 1, which has like amazing equipment. It's also like kind of like a dream room for me. Like the sound is amazing, wall built-in speakers and amazing furniture and just like super nice sound in the room. And they have this Manley microphone in there. They have an amazing preamp and also a super nice compressor, hardware compressor as well. And so I looked it up. This whole chain is like over 10K, euros. And yeah, that was the first time for me. And actually, if I also include the audio interface, the UAD, it's going to be way more even. So it's just that it was the first time for me to work with such expensive equipment. And I didn't think it would make such a big difference, but it absolutely does. Like, it's crazy how nice and silky the vocals are and how clean they are. And I really didn't have to do that much on those vocals to make them sound great, compared to other recordings that I've done on my Newman TLM 103, for example, which is also an expensive microphone. It's like $1,000 or something. But then I usually just use my RME Babyface Pro FS audio interface, the built-in preamp in there, and that's basically it. And it is a huge difference. Like comparing that setup to over 10K euros, setup, it is a huge difference. And then of course the room also makes a difference because it's like dry, that room, and really nicely built. Because like in the recording, you of course also hear the echo and the room echo basically. And if it's dry enough, you don't hear any of that. So even there you have to do less work, let's say. So yeah, that was great. I absolutely loved working on those vocals. And yeah, I think they sound great.
I think so too. I was blown away. I think everyone should take a listen to see what we mean. So our track is called Hearts Aligned and will be part of the compilation that will be coming out when exactly?
Yeah, so the album is called The Next Generation and it's going to be out on 26th of September on all platforms, basically. And your track, you didn't know this until now, but actually our collaboration is the opening track of the album. So, which is really
the first
cool.
one?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So I feel like
nice
the vibe.
Feel to
yeah,
it.
Exactly. It's like a nice vibe to open the album with.
Yeah, and it's I mean it's also a nice combination because I come from the progressive house side. You also do that sometimes, but you also come from the trance side. So it's kind of a nice merge, starting a bit slower, and I know you have some faster trancey tunes on that compilation as well. So that's probably a good entry point.
Yeah, and I mean our track is also in triplets, so that also is cool to transition from triplets to non-triplets for the rest of the album. So that also is kind of like a reason why it could be a good opener as well. Yeah, and like it's been a thing since I think 3 or 4 albums that I just have to have one track in triplets on the album.
Yeah. It was not planned, right? We're just like we had a reference where we thought, hey, maybe we like this track, we both like it, maybe we should do something in triplets, right?
True, very true. Yeah, it was that Deadmau5 remix of Gianluca Motta with Molly. Molly is the singer on that record, and Deadmau5 did an excellent remix of that track. And
Not Alone or something, right?
Sorry? Not Alone.
Was it Not Alone?
Yes, I absolutely love that track. And I actually, because of that track, I also, and Tracking Treasure Down, I worked with Molly Bancroft because she's the singer on there. So on my first album, I did a record
Gabriel
with her.
and Dresden?
Yes. So actually, first and second album, I did a record with her. So yeah, because of those tracks.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge influences.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Deadmau5 for me actually was also a hero. And I actually, if I'm honest with you, I love his music, but I also kind of like his personality because sometimes I wish I was a little bit more like him, a bit more asshole or something. I don't know. Yeah.
It's good that you are as nice as you are, Dennis. We appreciate you like this.
All right.
Please don't become that mouse.
Yeah.
No, but if you want to talk about that, I mean, I think this is all speculation, of course, but I think he's more business than you would think. And I think he has more concept and strategy and brand behind what he does than what he admits even.
Yeah, who knows?
I think there's a lot of strategy behind also his personality, and he chooses his fights strategically with the people that give him the promotion in the end. There's many things when you look at it from that light, it's like smart move.
Yes, but honestly, I think so. Authenticity is so important, right? So I feel like if you have a career for like 10, 20 years, like he has now, right? You wouldn't be able to keep it up if you were acting or if you weren't authentic. So I just think it's his personality, and it just played into his cards that, this is like, gives him a lot of extra attention. But of course, sure, he chooses his battles, definitely. Like, I'm sure he's not like, doing it everywhere. And maybe, he does it once in a while on purpose, but I think it just like goes hand in hand. It's his personality, but it's also his advantage in this business, basically.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think maybe this can be a topic for a future conversation, because I find this interesting too, is how do you present yourself to the public as an artist? And what I've learned, or what I'm still learning, is there's something like archetypes, where if you do that strategically, you pull aside from your own personality, and that is how you will appear to the outside. I mean, everyone is like a combination of different personalities. Maybe sometimes you're in bad mood, maybe sometimes you're in good mood, and maybe sometimes you rant, or maybe sometimes you're just like complimenting people. And we all have all these sides, but many artists, they go this strategic route where they have an archetype that they choose to represent to the world. And to me, I would guess that mouse shows this exact side of his. I wouldn't say it's unnatural. No, I think it's definitely part of him, but I don't think he's as extreme as he shows himself sometimes. That's my guess. It's just magnified through that lens of archetype. But like that. I think his mom was somehow in branding or something like this too. It's not all coming out of nowhere what he does. His logo is round, where his music is round too, and I think many things that he does, there's a bit more behind than you would think. But that's all speculation. Maybe he listens to this once and then we get the fire from him. But that's okay.
These two German fuckers, what do they want to tell me about my business?
That's okay. I take the promotion.
Exactly.
That mouse insulted me. Watch this clip now.
That's a career milestone.
Yeah, it's an achievement. It's an achievement, actually. Yeah, man. I think maybe we can wrap it up here, because I could talk to you for hours and hours more. We can maybe do another one once.
Exactly. Yeah. True. Now we have the whole history and the introduction of how we grew up, and then the next one we can concentrate on artist development and branding or something, or whatever else. Who knows? Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe this can be a thing.
I can talk about any of these topics for hours more. I have so many more stories. I don't know about you, but our life is about music. I mean,
absolutely.
There's so many things to share. I hope that this has been interesting. Thanks everyone for listening, and thanks Dennis for this opportunity to chat together. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine. It was really cool. It was nice to go back into the childhood history and stuff and dig deep. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Thanks, man. And
thanks to you. Speak soon. Yeah. Ciao. Bye. Hey, this is Marcel Vautier again. I hope you had a good time listening to our chat. I certainly had lots of fun recording it and having it. If you want to give back a little bit and support the show, leave a like, a subscribe, a follow, maybe even a comment. That would be awesome. Let us know what you thought, how you can relate to what we discussed about, and maybe let us know who you would like to see on this show next. And we catch you in the next episode. Cheers.